Our third meeting for KC Water upgrades on the Plaza water main replacement project. This is the third meeting for this project. Previously, we did hold one for the State Line Road phase, and then also the work that is currently taking place on Ward Parkway, just south of the Plaza area. We really appreciate your patience, as we know this isn't a typical method for public meetings, but it really has become the norm over the last year or so. So we appreciate you joining with us this evening. And I'll go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Shelby Ferguson. I am with Shockey Consulting, and I am leading the public engagement piece for this project. We've been working closely with KC Water and Leith & Sons to ensure that we have a streamlined engagement process and that members of the public are up to date and of the work that's taking place in their area. So next slide. So then I just want to introduce to you a few individuals who will be speaking and presenting this evening. First off, we have Terry Leeds, Director of KC Water, on with us this evening. So any questions that you may have at the end, you're welcome to ask those to anyone on the call, and also Terry himself. In addition, we also have Melanie Jolette. She's the Water Distribution Division Manager for KC Water, and Jeff Martin, who is a Chief Engineering Officer. Terry Thomas, he is our Project Manager for this project. And then Dave Oshel, who is the project contractor for the project, and he is with Leith & Sons. So before we get started, I just want to go over just a few notes for conducting a virtual meeting. Gabby, if you don't mind going to the next slide. We just ask that you remain muted throughout the presentation portion. This will really help us reduce the noise and any interference that during the presentation from other participants. If you have technical issues or have questions along the way, please feel free to use the chat feature. Someone from our team will be happy to assist you. Also, if you happen to have any questions that arise during the presentation and you don't want to hold those till the evening or at the end of the presentation, you are welcome to put those into that chat feature. So as you see on your screen, we just, like I mentioned, we've asked that you remain muted. And then for those technical pieces there, at the bottom of the screen, you'll see that little message bubble. That's the chat function I mentioned. And so you can just click on that and start typing in there any questions that you may have. Next slide. Also, if you're connecting with us by phone, we ask that you remain muted. You can also do this by pressing *6, and to raise your hand to ask a question and alert us that you would like to speak, you can press *9, and that'll tell us that we have a question from someone who's on the phone. And then lastly, we are recording this meeting to allow us to post the meeting later so that you have something to reference, or also for anyone who was unable to attend this evening. So with that, I will turn it over to Melanie, who will get things started with an overview of KC Water.
Thanks, Shelby. Gabby, can you go to the next slide, please? And I think I'm having a little bit of delay. There we go. So I'm actually going to turn the background of KC Water and kind of the services that we provide. I'll turn that over to Jeff Martin, who is our Chief Engineering Officer at Kansas City Water. So Jeff, if you're ready, if you want to give that little background, that'd be great.
Yeah, thanks, Melanie. I'm actually in transit right now, so I apologize for that. But so we are 3 utilities rolled up into one. So we provide our clean water, stormwater, and wastewater utility services for everyone here within the KC metro area. So Melanie, if you don't mind, I'll have you go ahead and take the rest of it for me as I get set up with my laptop.
Sure. Gabby, I'll go ahead and have you switch to the next slide. This slide really is just a picture of the Missouri River, which is our source of raw water that we use. And so as Jeff mentioned, we are three sources, or we are three services here at Kansas City Water. So we deliver potable water, we do wastewater collection, and then we also have stormwater collection as well. On the potable water side, we treat water, and then we have distribution system that delivers water to all of our customers. And then on the wastewater side, we collect the water, and then we have a couple of treatment plants to treat the water. And we'll go into the specifics of each of these utilities on the next slide. And then stormwater as well, we collect the stormwater as well. So Gabby, do you want to go to the next slide, please? This project, we'll start with the water distribution system. This project is a water main replacement project, which is part of the water distribution system. And we'll go into details of our program for water main replacement here in a little bit. But as Kansas City Water, we do on the water side, the potable water side, we have one treatment plant. So that photo of the Missouri River, that's our source water. We collect water from the Missouri River. We have one treatment plant, and then we distribute the water through 18 pump stations, several storage tanks throughout the system. We have 2,800 miles of water main, 35,000 valves, and 23,000 fire hydrants throughout the city. On the wastewater side, as I mentioned, we collect wastewater from customers, and we have 6 wastewater treatment plants throughout the city, 39 pump stations, 2,800 miles of wastewater sewer main, and 67,000 manholes in our system. On the stormwater side, we have 630 miles of storm sewer, 53,000 storm inlets, 15 stormwater pump stations, and 13.5 miles of levee as well. So this just kind of summarizes all of our assets that we have within Kansas City Water. Gabby, next slide, please. There we go. All right, so next we're going to jump into the water main replacement program itself. Go ahead, Gabby, if you want to get to the next slide. As I mentioned, this project that we're discussing tonight is part of our water main replacement program, and I'm going to go into some of the details of our water main replacement program, kind of what the program entails, and kind of how we utilize it throughout the city to replace our water mains. I'll go ahead and get started before the slide pops up. But so the water main replacement program is a program that we created, Kansas City Water created about 7 years ago. As I mentioned, we have 2,800 miles of distribution mains throughout the city. And some of those mains date back to the 1800s. So we do have some pretty old mains in our system. And so what we've noticed is we do see some challenges within our system with main breaks, other issues. And so maintaining service and consistent high quality water to our customers, this is an issue that the nation, it's a nationwide issue that we're seeing, aging infrastructure. A lot of municipalities are seeing that. So like I said, about 7 years ago, we created this water main replacement program. The goal is to replace 1% of our system a year, and that equates to about 28 miles every year of mains that we're trying to replace. Since the start of the program, we've replaced more than 200 miles. So about last summer during the pandemic, during 2020, I think it was probably July, we did hit our 200 mile mark. So we've replaced more than 200 miles of water mains since the program has started. Gabby, do you want to go to the next slide, please? And so what we're doing to replace the water mains is we really have a pretty in-depth, robust program where we're looking at risk of the mains, risk of failure for the mains. So we're using a very state-of-the-art asset management program to look at the age of the pipe. We're looking at the diameter, the material of the pipe, how many breaks this pipe has seen, where it's located, if it's in a major roadway, other factors, both probability and consequence of failure that we would see on a pipe, and we're calculating the risk of that pipe failing. And so we identify 28 miles every year of pipe that we're going to replace. And so these pipes, then these segments of pipe then get entered into projects. And these projects go from design to construction. And so we're designing these pipes with zinc coated ductile iron pipe. And the intent is this material, this ductile iron pipe, has a 100-year lifespan. And so if over the course of 100 years, we're going to replace all 2,800 miles of pipe that we have, at the end of the lifespan of these pipes being replaced, 100 years from now, then it'll be time to start looking again. So the idea is that we will have a long lifespan of these new pipes that we're putting in place. By replacing these mains, we will see, sorry, Gabby, wasn't quite ready, but that's okay. By replacing these mains, we will see reduced breaks on them, so it's going to be reduced maintenance on there. We will actually also see increased fire flow in areas, because what happens is we have a lot of cast iron pipe in the system. Older pipe sometimes gets tuberculated, and that just means we're getting deposits on the inside of the pipe, which kind of reduces the diameter, the inside diameter, the effective diameter of the pipe. And so we're able to see improved fire flow by putting in clean pipe without any deposits on the inside. So really, it's a good program that we have, and that's kind of how we've established our projects that we've done and how we've established the Plaza project. And so with that background, I'm going to turn it over to Terry Thomas, who's our project manager, and he's going to talk about project specifics for the upgrades on the Plaza project. So Terry, I'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Melanie. Good evening, everyone. Again, I am Terry Thomas. I have been privileged with being the project manager representing KC Water for this wonderful project. It is a tall task when you think about the Country Club Plaza and what it means to Kansas City and its history, and replacing this aging infrastructure is a top priority. So let's begin with kind of where we're going to be while we're doing these things. What you see now is the State Line Road portion, which if you've driven over there at any point in the last couple of weeks, you've probably noticed the excavators are out, that we're currently putting in work there. Ethan Sons is working hard to get that in as fast and cleanly as possible. And they're going to be working on that according to schedule, until May, before we move into what you all are here for tonight. Next, Gabby. And then the other portion of the earlier phases, it was along Ward Parkway, just south of Brush Creek. And Lethan Sons has gone in and put that in already. So that's going to be getting tested here as we speak, as well as along West 49th Street, a little further south than that, near Warner Road. But why are you here? The moment you've all been waiting for. When are we going to be replacing those pesky water mains in the main vein of the Plaza? So as you can see, next, Gabby, that we're pretty much going to do the entire thing. So how does this affect you? Well, construction causes a little bit of heartburn for everyone, right? You got the loud noise, you got the dust, you got the banging, the digging, the inconvenience of traffic when you want to go somewhere. But the good thing is, when it's all said and done, we'll have fresh water mains. If you've been around any in the last month, you've noticed that there have been a few breaks in the Plaza, and that's why we're here. We're taking this on in a little more non-traditional style. Typically what we do is design, bid, build, but the Country Club Plaza was so important that we decided to do it as a design build style project. That way things go a lot faster and hopefully a lot smoother than our typical process at KC Water and the Water Main Replacement Program. We're going to be replacing as far north as West 46th Street and as far south as Ward Parkway, and as far east as Mill Creek Parkway, and as far west as Jefferson Street. So we're not missing anything here. We want to get it all done and taken care of so that everyone's happy. No one has to make those pesky 311 calls about why there's a geyser in the air while we're trying to shop down on the Plaza. And I'll let Leith and Sons get into the schedule of how they're going to go through each phase. We're replacing roughly 2.5 miles in this area alone out of 3 miles for this project total. We're replacing an 8-inch mains. We're putting in 8-inch ductile iron mains, 12-inch as well as 16-inch main going along Broadway. So we'll be updating all of our assets, our new fire hydrants, new valves, everything will be beautiful. And as far as the restoration goes, I know that is a big sticking point. Everything will be replaced. Plaza has beautiful brick pavers, wonderful asphalted roads. So you'll notice that everything will be looking good down there to standard or better. Leith and Sons has hired the recommended contractor to do those brick pavers if they're disturbed. So you won't notice anything once we're gone. You're not going to even know we were there. And then I'll pass that on to Dave and allow him to get into the nitty gritty of the schedule there.
All right, good evening. Thanks, Terry. My name's Dave Oshel with Leith & Sons. I'm the project manager over the team that's going to be installing the water mains in the Plaza area. Our anticipated start was in March, and like I said, Terry brought up that we started there on State Line and Ward Parkway south of Brush Creek. Right now, our anticipated schedule, we're looking at beginning to start potholing on phase 1 in the Plaza. And we're looking to get started to start potholing, which we have to pothole in advance of actually building the water main to see where we can run the water main with all the utilities and the congestion that's down there. But right now, we're anticipating on getting started April 19th. And that first phase is basically 47th Street from Jefferson going east over to Main Street. We also have a stretch from Pennsylvania from 46 to Nichols Road. We also, on phase 1, we have J.C. Nichols Parkway from West 47th to West 46th Terrace, and then a little stretch on Warnell Road there from West 47th to West 46th Terrace. We're planning on having that first phase completed by the first week of July, and then we'll move on to phase 2, which is kind of the southern portion of the project. The main stretch there is Ward Parkway from Jefferson over to Warnell, and then we have a stretch there on West 48th Street from Jefferson to Pennsylvania Avenue, and then also Broadway from West 47th to Ward Parkway. We also have a little stretch on Pennsylvania from West 47th to Ward Parkway, and then Wyandotte Street to Ward Parkway or Wyandotte from Ward Parkway to Nichols Road. That'll be phase 2. We anticipate on that starting in the beginning of July and ending the first week of October. And then we get into phase 3, which is Nichols Road, Broadway to Wyandotte, Wyandotte from Nichols Road to 46th Terrace, and then also Broadway from West 47th to West 6th Street. Our anticipated schedule, weather cooperating and everything else, is basically starting in the first week of October and going to the end of November on the phase 3 portion of that. And then we jump into the last phase, which would be phase 4 down the Plaza, and that's going to be 46th Street from Jefferson to Warnell Road. And then we have a stretch on 46th Terrace from Broadway to J.C. Nichols Parkway. We anticipate on getting that started the first week of December and completing those segments the end of January, early February. So that kind of gives you an idea of the different phasing that we're going to be doing on this project and how we're going to be coordinating with the Plaza and all the tenants down there and moving through this area kind of in the different phases to kind of help at least create as much access as we can for everybody and allow us to do our work. Next slide. One thing, like I said earlier, first thing we're going to do when we move into these phases is going to be the pothole portion and verifying the location of all the other utilities that are down there and coming up with the best route for us to run our new water mains. We'll be opening up trenches and burying the new pipe. One thing that Latham Sons that we take great pride in is keeping our job sites clean and backfilling right behind us, concreting the streets and asphalting them as we go to help facilitate people being able to get in and out of the areas that we've already came through. So after we get the new mains installed, then of course we've got to test the new water mains and chlorinate them and get them up to pressure, make sure we don't have any issues. And then that's usually about a week or two that you won't see any activity in that area. And then once our water main pass the pressure test, then we'll come back and connect the services and turn off the old water main and then turn on the new water main and then wrap up the rest of the restoration if we have any. So one thing we'll be making sure we're working with Toberman, who's in charge of the plaza here, as far as restoring the paver, brick sidewalks and, green spaces in any areas that we disturb, we'll be putting those back as good as new. Next slide. And then I'll let Terry take this one back over. So.
All righty. Thanks, Dave. So now you got our spiel on what's going to happen. Now, what can you expect as a resident or business owner here? As previously stated, you will see the large excavators. You will notice that it's louder than normal. You've probably gotten some of that here recently with the Nordstrom project and things of that nature that are happening in the area. When will your water service be interrupted? So we like to say that a guarantee of 3 times your water service will be interrupted. And then we like to add an additional 4th time that we can't anticipate. So what are those 3 that you know are going to happen? Well, the first will be when we're connecting the water main on one end of the street to the existing water main. And then the second time will be when we're transferring your service. So you're going to get a new service line in for your business or residence. And then the third time will be when we connect the second end of the new water main and put everything in service there. Now, there will always be times where we can't give you notice that you're going to have a water shut. And the plaza, I'm going to assume, is one of those areas. We do have water main breaks down there pretty frequently. And with the construction going on, it may actually increase the chances of the existing water main breaking. In these instances, we wouldn't be able to notify you that your water will be cut off because it happened in the spur of the moment to our contractor down there. So sometimes you just have to anticipate that these things are going to occur. But we would do our best to make sure that the interruptions of service are as limited as possible. Work's going to take place during the day. You see that Leith will work as early as 7 a.m. and go all the way to 4 p.m. A lot of times you'll need to have access to your business. The contractor will always make sure that you're allowed ingress and egress to wherever you need to go. That way we limit the disruption to you. As far as street place goes, any open trench will have a street plate placed over it at night. That way cars have access to the streets. We know that driving through the plaza is going to incur a lot of traffic. So that's one thing that we want to make sure is taken care of. As for using the garages, we know that that they need access to the garages. That way you can park as needed. Any affected curbs or driveways will be replaced to standard or better, as mentioned before. And traffic control will make sure you pay attention to any normal routes that you take make sure you know which way to go. Next slide, Gabby.
Thank you, Terry. So I'll go ahead and take over from there. So now that we understand what the project is, why we're doing the work, what's anticipated and what we can expect for the duration of the project until early next year, I just want to go over just how you, as a tenant and resident of the Plaza area, can remain informed. So we have set up a hotline phone number, which is right there on your screen, but it's 816-206-1318. In addition to a project email, water.upgradesontheplaza@kcmo.org. Both of those will come directly to myself, are monitored during business hours. So 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday, that's monitored. Even as the work goes on, if you have any questions, you feel free to call that hotline number or reach out with an email. From there, I will either respond and give you the information that you're looking for. If it is something that I may not know the answer for, or something that I need to check in with our team on, I will reach out to them and then defer any questions further to the project team, and we'll get you an answer or your concerns addressed as quickly as possible. In addition, we also have a project webpage. You can go to the KC Water webpage and then click on projects and go to upgrades on the plaza. There you'll be able to see the project areas and phases, in addition to just general project information. Also, this meeting, as I mentioned at the beginning, is being recorded. At that webpage, that's where you'll find a link to the recording of this. In addition to there within the website, you'll see the green box that's highlighted on your screen. You can sign up for a weekly construction update. And what that will do is we put you then onto our email list. I send out every Friday typically before close of business, but either by end of Friday, you will receive a construction update for the following week. And what that'll do is it outlines each specific phase and the work that can be expected for the upcoming work week, 5 days. Also from that, we'll also, following this meeting, since this is the last of our public meetings, but we do understand that there's a good amount of tenants. We are working in 4 phases in this area. So we will continue to have ongoing stakeholder meetings if necessary. We are meeting with Plaza management currently. We meet with them weekly just to make them in the know of what updates are coming on, where staging's taking place, what work we'll be doing, just so that they know what to expect and they can pass that along to their tenants. So that is something that we're looking forward to, is just having that consistent coordination within that group, but also if there are any other groups, neighborhood groups, residents committees, anything like that would like to request an additional meeting, that we can come to your committee and make sure that we can inform the rest of your members of your group or your residents. We can do so. And also we will be continuing to put updates as necessary on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Each of those accounts are listed there on the screen as well. In addition to, we post updates on Nextdoor. So if you are a member of Nextdoor, you'll receive notifications through that. And as I mentioned, we'll continue to have those meetings with the Plaza management, and they'll continue to carry on that coordination with their tenants. But also, I really encourage you, if you want to continue to be updated, sign up for those weekly construction updates, as that's helpful in just what to anticipate. And then again, just reach out on the hotline if you have any questions at any point in time during the project process. So with that, I will wrap up. And also, if you need to reach out to Terry Thomas, the project manager again, directly, his information there is on the screen, but it's also listed on the project website as well. So with that, I will open it up to any questions that we may have in the chat, or if anyone has any questions that they would like to ask of the project team. And it looks like from our chat, Robert, you had a question regarding if there's a website or anything like that. And so I just went over that piece, but I don't see any other questions at this time in the chat, but does anyone else have something that they would like to address? If so, feel free to raise your hand or put it into the chat. Okay, it looks like there's a question of how long will the water be off during the 3 planned interruptions? Terry or Dave, would you like to address that?
Yeah, I can address that. Typically, after we lay the new water main, we have to chlorinate it and do a pressure test and do back tees on that. And then once that's done, we do a tie-in on the one end of the main, and then we come back and connect the services. And when we connect those services, that'll be when the first shutdown will be. And then after we come back in and switch completely over to the new water main and switch over, that'll be another shutdown period. One thing we'll be doing, and we'll be working with the Plaza management and stuff, and notifying each area as we go through on when those anticipated shuts will be, and coordinating with them and letting them know for how long. But typically when we do tie-ins and have to shut the water down, that is usually done at nighttime to be of less inconvenience to everybody. So.
Okay, and then
Shelby, I'm sorry. Can I chime in here? And Dave,
Sure.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I also think that each shutdown is typically around 4 hours. And so, like Dave was saying, we'll notify within at least 48 hours that shutdown is coming. Now, on the emergency ones that we're not aware of, it's hard to say. Those could be longer than that, but typically, Dave, each time you do the connection, it's about 4 hours, correct?
Yeah, it's not a very long extended period, but yeah, roughly less than 4 hours. We typically dig all of our tie-ins and have everything ready to go. So it's just a matter of connecting a short piece of pipe and getting the fittings put into place. So it's not an extended period of time.
And then Melanie, I'll put onto that also to you. Do you foresee a water boiling being necessary during any of those shutdowns or any other time?
No, I don't think so. There should not be a requirement to boil water at all. Like Dave was saying, we do disinfect and test the water before we put it back on for you guys. So we won't put it back on if it's not safe to drink. So no boiling water for that.
Okay. And then going back, Dave, just to those tie-ins that you mentioned that'll be done in the evening time, what time do you foresee those taking place? Will it be done after midnight, or when can they anticipate those?
It just depends on the main that we're tying into. We coordinate those shuts with Kansas City Water Services. And, typically they're anywhere from, 10 o'clock at night until early in the morning, just depending on what the demand is on those water mains and what's the best time for us to go in there and do those tie-ins. So we're going to pick the time that's going to be least inconvenient convenient for everybody. And like I said, those can, range from 10 o'clock at night till, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. So.
Okay, and as I previously mentioned, those are things that will also be included in that weekly construction update. But as well as mentioned, you'll receive notification of those shuts as well. So, does anyone else have any other questions? It looks like we don't have anything additional in the chat, but feel free to unmute yourself if you do have a question or put it in that chat box. Okay, it seems as if there are no more questions at this time. Should you have anything that you think of after the fact of this meeting, or again, anything that comes up as construction is going on in your area, please do feel free to reach out on that hotline or the project email, and we'll address any concerns and issues as quickly as possible. I will lead off with Melanie or Terry leads, or Terry Thomas. Do you have any additional closing remarks?
I do not. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight and for the good questions that we've had. But I will see if Terry leads, if you wanted to add anything tonight.
Just to say thank you for attending. We look forward to getting this project complete. You will be ready for it to be done, and so will we. So Leith & Sons does a very good job in their projects, and they'll keep things moving along. So thank you for your patience in advance.
Okay, well, with that, we will go ahead and end recording, and thank you all very much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, Shelby.
Thank you all.